Welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast with your hosts, Coach Dez and DJFNA.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's good to be back.
Welcome to December.
Yes, December.
Everybody.
A whole lot going on. Oh my goodness, man. There's so much to unpack today. Let me take my red Solo cup out of frame so people.
Well, there's, per usual, as we're settling.
I don't drink, by the way.
No,
I don't. No.
He drinks. What have you been cutting down on sugar though, right? That's like your thing lately.
Yeah, I have to cover the label, but this is this is what do they call this?
Sparkling water?
Yeah, sparkling water. No calories, no sweeteners, all smiles.
How you been feeling since you've been doing less sugar?
Well, remember we were doing the health as well.
Yeah.
And taking care of yourself.
Right.
I think for me, it's a gradual thing. So I've been cutting out the soda, replacing it with that. And I actually like it pretty good now. I think what it is, it's a carbonation.
Yeah.
When I'm drinking food,
the illusion.
When I'm drinking certain foods, I need to have like that carbonation.
Yeah.
So I got into that because it's working for me. It's and now it's really good because the other day I did try to do like regular Coke, couldn't finish it. It was like way too much. So I like it. I like the change.
I like it.
No
That's
sugar, And the cool thing is that I'm not gonna lie. There's some times when I'm like thirsty at night. I would drink a soda.
Yeah.
So now when I drink that, it gives me that it quenches the thirst, but it's just water.
Right. Bubbly water.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. That's good. Yeah, I gave up alcohol and soda, so
man,
it's
So,
but it's been a while, so I'm used to it now.
I mean, it's crazy because there's no alcohol. And even no sugar. There's nothing in this. I should be drinking it in a nice, in a nice cup.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing a disservice to, all the red Solo cup drinkers out there.
I know, right? You're creating an illusion. However, that's a really good segue to highlight what we're actually going to talk about today. And then we'll cover some headlines that, that have been predominant in the news. So we're talking about dismantling misinformation today, and so it's gonna get exciting and heated and emotional.
God. I'm gonna get so heated on this
extra.
Because this has become very important to me. It boils me up.
I know,
man.
Your blood's boiling.
It gets boiled. Yeah.
Well, remember. Now we're a few episodes in to our new format that we introduced to you all a couple weeks ago.
And I'm getting better at this too.
And he's getting better. He does the technology, so his job is a lot harder than mine. But our objective, for those that are tuning in or maybe, missed that initial episode where we've adjusted our format, our objective was about providing you with information that can help to inform better conversations, better decision-making, to become intelligent in conversations and not just, listen to the first thing you hear and take it as gospel. So
again, I apologize to all the super Coach Dez fans that are like, oh my God, I don't like this.
But I love the fact that we can offer different perspectives.
Yes.
And the fact we've shared, we come from different industries and backgrounds, and
arguing is good.
and it's good. It challenges your perspective, right? So so before we get into all of the juiciness, we want to highlight a couple of headlines for you that have happened.
What happened this week? UNLV, there was a mass shooting, and another one. It was very interesting because I was going. I think I just I was finishing up a pedicure with my mom. Let's get it, making some good mom time, and I saw a couple of cop cars. No big deal, But then it was like a few more. So you're like, after like the third or fourth one, you're like, something's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, I get a notification, and I have the local news and MSNBC, CNN, all that. I get a CNN notification saying active shooter situation in Las Vegas campus, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, because you're like, okay, wait a minute, this is national news. This is a big deal,
right?
So yeah, we had a mass shooting here in Las Vegas on the UNLV campus. And it was, and I'm going to just be very real about this. I didn't feel anything. Like, it's not that I didn't care. I was just like, here we go. This is another one. I think it's not that nobody cares. I think what everybody does is they go, okay, we all know what to do now. We're going to wait. We're going to find out how many people are how many victims there are. And then it goes to who's the shooter, that's, and then why did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
That everybody just waits for that. And yeah, man, it's like, and it's in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It happened here.
This happened here.
I mean, I was here for the October 1 shooting, I was going to go down the strip, but I ended up going home. And I remember that whole night, you're just glued to the TV. It's you're terrified, you're sad, all this is going on. And then this one, you're just like, okay, here we go. We're going to go through the same thing of, how many people, who is a shooter, why,
Yeah. And so,
Yeah,
I'll give some context to the situation. And interestingly enough, there were other shootings that took place in Texas that the news was simultaneously reporting on.
Yeah.
So as the information unfolded, the perpetrator, the shooter, was a man named Tony Polito, who's 67 years old. 3 people were killed. 1 person was injured. 2 police officers had minor injuries as they engaged with the shooter, who ended up dying. And the information that has been shared is this person was a professor at universities in North Carolina. And the faculty that got killed by him, it was a bit of a vendetta, it sounds like, because he was unsuccessfully able to become a professor at UNLV.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of the backstory, at least what they've shared so far. And unfortunately, as you pointed out, Aaron, this is something that happens commonly.
This is, we're used to this now. This is a thing that, everybody's used to. And here's the thing that got me, and I was trying to find the clip of this girl, but they were interviewing one of the students, and she goes, I knew this was going to happen to me eventually.
She anticipated it.
I mean, just right there, just kind of said everything. Like, it's like you go to school now, and it's almost like, okay, everybody used to prepare for fire drills. We prepare for lockdowns. And now you're going, okay, I made it through high school. People are in high school going, we might have a mass shooter. And then you make it through high school and go, well, I made it this far. I'm going to go to college. Let's see if I, so people are students are kind of like anticipating it now,
Yeah. It used to be earthquake drills and hide under your desk or in a doorway and those things. And now there's drills associated with shooting. Now,
one thing about this, after the October 1 shooting here in Las Vegas, obviously the police gets funding. We get, they were prepared. Okay. Because now that we have more information after it's passed, campus police engaged him within minutes. I don't know the exact time because I know I saw some time, but I know it was quick. So after they found him, they saw that this guy had multiple magazines, like a lot. Like, he could have done some damage. Hundreds of cop cars, even the news, people on the news, all the reporters are saying, there are so many cops here, unmarked cars, cops. They descended on that campus so fast, Now, mind you, here in Las Vegas, we had Formula One, we had a Super Bowl coming up. There's always an event going on. There's important people in town. There's always cops on the alert. So it was good to see that the response was fast, Another cool thing that I liked, and we're going to talk about this, there wasn't any numbers of people yet. They've set up a perimeter. The sheriff gave the information. They did let people know that there were victims, that the shooter was deceased, that they took care of it. And then we got the information as it came in. Obviously, you want to respect the families and make sure they get the information first. So they handle it really well.
There's protocol.
So shout out to the Metro and the federal, city, local, state, teams that work together. So, and it's really good that a lot of these, and another thing too, when October 1 happened, there was people that were just, there was so much going on. There were people trying to save people while the shooting was happening. You're talking about, there was like minutes of shooting. I don't know the exact time, but I want to say at least 30 minutes to an hour of just chaos. People jumping into flatbeds of trucks, pickup trucks, taking people to the hospital. One of the things that they did do also is that they shut down the 15 to make sure that first responders can get these people to the hospital if there was a lot of casualties. So, man, you got to see it in real time, the response. And I really hope that everybody in America is responders or have these systems in place. I know that for Las Vegas, it's Las Vegas and we have a lot going on, but this can happen anywhere as we know. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that a lot of cities see how this was done and help others, because it is going to happen again. And you know what? One dead person is way too many, Yeah. But it could have been a lot worse. And you know what? When we're probably going to see worse.
Well, and the thing about it is, as we look at history and the different occurrences that have happened, everything all the way back to situations like Columbine, you can't control all the different variety of reasons that people do these things.
Yeah.
It can be personal. It can be a vendetta against something, the government. This situation, it was particular to the faculty, but there's religious wars going on. There's all kinds of things that can incite.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was the first thing I thought was, okay, did this have anything to do? Because we had those 3 Palestinian men, students that were shot just walking to a friend's house. And here in Las Vegas, it's a big melting pot. So we have all kinds, of people here. Mm-hmm. And look at this guy. I'm on the TV, So, but man, it was really, they stepped up, man. And thank God it was only, and again, I feel bad for saying this, but like, it was not a lot. It could, with the magazines that this guy had, what they were talking about, man, it could have been like 20, 30 people at least if the campus police didn't react, know? And then the cops are there, quick, fast, So that was obviously scary, but man, we're just used to that, And college campuses are obviously one,
a huge target.
Schools are a big target, but then you go, it's happening in salons, it's happening in
Walmarts and churches.
It can happen anywhere, It was funny because I was shopping with my daughters and we were at the mall, and I'm walking in going, okay, if something pops off, what, you know what I mean? I'm already thinking that. Going to a mall, I'm like, there was a car like slowly driving by and I'm like, okay, let me make sure I get quick and watch him and make sure what's going on. Head is on a swivel now,
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I had a friend from Lebanon and she was saying like, oh yeah, we grew up always seeing missiles, going across, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God, how crazy is that? But that's how it is here now. You're constantly on the lookout. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Before it was like, hey, don't go to the bad part of town, stay out the hood. Something might happen to you. Now it doesn't matter. Like the United States has become one big hood where anything can happen.
Yeah.
And that's, oh man.
Yeah. I saw a meme and it was like leaving Earth because it's ghetto as fuck or something, Yeah. And it's just, it's like people are trying to find levity in situations because they're.
And not to say this happens in like minority towns, because the 2 shooters that we've had here in Las Vegas, mass shooters, are both white. Oh, this guy was he white?
Tony Polito, yeah. I think
he kind of has like a Latin last name though.
I don't see his picture.
Yeah. So so it's not, not to say this only happens in minorities, but like, But it is interesting though how the bigger the mass shooting, the lighter the person. I mean, and this kind of goes to when people are saying like, oh, we got to do a Muslim ban and do all this stuff. You're like, dude, I mean, everybody is dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not just it's not just one race. So let me I'll look this up real quick. I mean, do you remember going to college and kind of like you never thought of that?
No, I mean, when I was in college, sadly, it was suicide. That's what people looked out for because of all the pressure. Not to say there's still pressure, and that's why there's so many movies and things like that around it. But it was a different kind of things that you looked out for when I was in college.
Yeah.
But
so here we go, right here. This is the shooter right here. I mean,
it just looks like,
man, looks like an accountant.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure when this guy was walking up, people were thinking, oh, yeah, like just another professor. But it was crazy to hear that it was a professor. You were like, a professor, But they saw that when they went to when they go check his house, he did have an eviction notice. And
he had a lot going on.
Yeah, so I don't know, money problems just went crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, yeah.
Well, and it's a whole nother topic, but oftentimes this came up with the shooter, that happened at the country music festival that you're talking about.
Yeah.
This shooter, as well as the shooter that they had in Texas, this also this past week that killed multiple people, which is this connection with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That it's brought up often and then you go further into the history and you find out all these things and there's some button or something that goes off and
every single time this happens, people start talking about gun laws and people on the right are going, well, everybody needs more guns to protect and and it's, man, I mean,
it's a lot.
And it's crazy because that's not going to change.
It's a lot to unpack. I mean, it's something that
the United States has the most guns.
It just fuels the fire, right? To reignite the conversation more around guns.
At least, if anything, the thing about it though is that here's the thing, and this is one of those things where you go, okay, you want to say it's mental health. It's not the guns, that same old guns don't kill people, people kill people. Okay, it's a mental health issue. But when we want to talk about healthcare and getting people care, they want to repeal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this is being a lifelong Republican, and this is what gets me really frustrated about this party is that you don't have an answer. When it comes to health insurance, that's one of the things that really, to me, it's one of those things where I'm like, health insurance is a scam, man. Because there's, I get it. A car is a luxury. You need insurance on that. Everyone needs to have insurance. I get it. But healthcare should be, if people want to say, oh, this is the greatest country, we take care of people here, we take care of our veterans, we take care of, then give people health care, And the thing about it that what really pisses me off about people that want to repeal Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act is you have no solution. You have no plan. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just, you just want to repeal it. You just want to get rid of it. Why? Because the insurance companies that make billions of dollars a year in profits off of people's health care, they don't want that to change.
Welcome to capitalism. Yeah.
I get that. Now capitalism, again, if you want to buy a car, you're going to have to get insurance. I get it. You want to buy a luxury car, a home, everything home. That's fine. You know what I mean? People making money insurance. I get that. I was an insurance agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But here's the point though.
Healthcare.
The point is that to be the first world country and to spend the most in the world and have the most chaos when it comes to healthcare. There's countries all over that have figured out things like universal healthcare and less wait times to be able to get in for appointments, surgeries, and things like that. So it's been done, but
yeah, and
we
that,
like complicated here.
and that's what it's hard because the normal person who doesn't really have time to just go read up on all this and research it and educate themselves on it, they're just going to go, I mean, whatever region you're in, however you grow up, you're just going to feel a certain way. But I mean, the basic of it is, if the mental health is an issue, then why can't you guys come up with a plan that says, hey, we're going to give everybody health care, everybody pays into it, because other countries have this, no problem, And it's like, instead of all these insurance companies making billions of dollars, $1 billion of profit, wouldn't, let's take care of our doctors. Let's take care of our hospital. Let's take care of those people that are taking, that are going to help these people, get their therapy, get what they need,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the healthcare, we could do a whole show on healthcare.
That's a whole thing. And it's an industry I've been in for 18 years. So there's a lot.
I think the point is that something needs to be done. Fine. You don't want to give, you don't want to take guns away, and it's a Second Amendment.
Constitutional.
I get it. Okay, that's fine. Because in order to take all guns away, we'd have to, there had to be a majority of people in Congress to amend, the Second Amendment. And that's not going to happen.
No.
Okay. People want the right to have a gun. Fine. Okay, so that's not going to get done. Background checks. That's not going to help.
There's this
look at this guy right here.
Called
this guy right
the
here.
black market.
Yeah. Well, and not just that, but if you look at a lot of these people that do these mass shootings, they're going to go, well, they got their gun legally. In Uvalde, Texas, they got their guns legally. So it's not but again, if these people, it's like, okay, if that's not going to be done, then do something then, get people, if you want to sit there and go, it's a mental health issue, so then do something about it.
Yeah.
So, and I go back to Sandy Hook. Kids. And for those of you that want to say Sandy Hook was a hoax, man, if you're that kind of person, man, I almost started cussing crazy. You're a messed up person. So I'm gonna get that out of the way first. But Sandy Hook, you're talking about first, second, kindergarten kids, like dozens of them killed in a suburb on the East Coast. Predominantly white. That didn't change anybody's mind.
Yeah, that's
if
crazy.
Little kids, precious little kids with angel faces, man, just massacred. And that didn't even budge the needle. Yeah. So if that didn't do anything, I mean, all these shootings, all these mass shootings, man, that's like, so, okay, obviously, America's made this decision on guns. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then let's move past it. Then let's at least get people health care. If it's a mental health thing,
right?
Let's get people.
Because it keeps coming back to that, right?
Yeah.
With all these shooters. So that's,
man, I'm almost went off. So
that almost became a whole topic right there.
Yeah.
But why don't we switch the headline?
Okay, so another headline. For those of you who are football fans, especially college football fans, which I am, there was a big deal that happened in college football because unlike let's look at like any other sport, soccer, football, baseball, they'll have a playoff. Basketball, it was 64, now it's like 68. And all the teams get in and sometimes 11 seed will go to the Final Four, Most of the time it's going to be your top teams, but there's always that one team that, it's a Cinderella story, So this year in college football, and they changed it. So they had the BCS, which was, it was a committee that picked the top two teams in the country to go to play in the championship. Now, In college football, because you have so many teams, you can't do a 64 playoff because football is very physical. You can't have all these teams playing all these games and getting hurt. You don't want these college kids to get hurt. You know what I mean? This isn't the NFL. You know, now they're able to make money, but back then there was no money. So you didn't want to put these kids in jeopardy of getting hurt. So this is why they have bowl games. So pretty much, you know, for those of you that don't, you know football, in college football, now the NFL, they have playoff because it's 32 teams. It's the top 16 teams go and they can do that. But in college football, you have like 80, 90 teams, you know? And then there's different levels too. Like you'll have an Alabama who's, you know, all these boys are big. And then you'll have like, you know, Georgia Southern, you know what I mean? Or these small town, you know, kids that, you know, just, you know, Appalachian State, you know?
Yeah.
But that have won before, you know what I mean? It's definitely a David versus Goliath kind of thing.
Right.
So you'll have these bowl games, which are pretty much you get invited to play at these bowl games, you know, a game where, you know, there's many bowls around. I don't know how many there is, but I want to say there's at least like 40 of them, you know, but you'll have like your top tier ones, you know. Now what they did, because there was one year where it was like, okay, well, you have 3 teams that are undefeated. Who's going to go to the championship? You know? And I believe USC a while back had this problem. They didn't get picked, but then they went in and, you know, they made a statement and beat Oklahoma, you know, and prove that they should have been in it. So then they go, okay, you know what? Let's expand it to 4 teams. This is where it got crazy for me. You have conferences. You have the Power 5, big 5 conferences, and each conference, and then you have other conferences. But out of those 5 big ones, they have a conference championship game. So why? It was like destined to mess up. Like it was like, why do 4? You should at least done 6 because. Yeah. It should have been out of those 5, every 5 conference that does a championship, if you won your conference championship, you get in. Because now those conference championships act as a playoff. And then the 6th one, then you can give it to a Cinderella team, like a team that's in not a Power 5 conference, but that maybe has an undefeated season. Or maybe one of those teams like in the SEC that, you know, like Georgia, they were number 1 the whole year. They lost this one game. You know, that could have been the 6th seed, right? You know, so what happened this year is you had 3 undefeated teams and 3 teams that had 1 losses. Okay, Florida State won every single game, but because they lost their starting quarterback, the last 2 games they barely won. And they barely won it with like their 3rd string quarterback. So, you know, so, you know, I just kind of want to put this up real quick. Okay. So the committee is basically looking at a lot of things. They say they look at, you know, schedule, strength of schedule. And then there was also in there a good thing that Kirk Herbstreit, who's a football analyst, he was a football player, pointed out that one of the requirements said it also takes into consideration if there's coaches or players who are absent. Okay. So obviously that was a big thing. So if you look at this real quick, strength of schedule, you have Alabama 5th, Florida State 55th. So they didn't have a big, they didn't play a lot of like big teams, high ranking teams. So of course, I mean, this is, you know, they and everybody was kind of anticipating this, you know. So you had Michigan at number 1, they're undefeated, you know. Georgia, because they lost the SEC championship, moved down to 6, which never happened before. Washington was undefeated. Texas actually beat Alabama, so that put them up. So this 4th and last spot, a lot of people were like, well, if you're undefeated, you should be in the playoff. Right. But because Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship, it was like, and again, everybody was, this is a big thing. And a lot of people were saying, well, it's about the 4 best teams, you know, because what happened is last year, you had TCU, who was kind of like that. You know, they're not a bad team, but they're not like a power. You know, they weren't like a power, but they were like a Cinderella team. They went undefeated. They went to the college playoff, beat Michigan, okay, and then when they went to the championship, they got blown out. Now we all know, okay, college football is big business, man, and that wasn't good for ratings. They don't, and that's the point. They don't want to, you know, and it's hard because you'll talk about Boise State when they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. Oh man, I love that game. Okay, if you have some time, Google that, watch on YouTube. It's one of the greatest games, you know, ever played. And you'll have these teams that will beat a big team, but if they don't, it's just bad for the ratings. It's bad. And it is a business, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people were upset about that. And I was trying to explain it to some friends, and it's like, man, well, why play the games then? If you went and won every single game, you know, that means we got a good defense. And you know what I mean? But you know what? They're expanding it to 12 next year. And what's funny is that and I'm glad they're going to do this because it'll give these teams a chance to get in. Some of these people on the outskirts of it that maybe would have a chance.
Right.
But then, you know, they're going to have 12 and go, well, the 13th spot. It's always going to be somebody that gets left out. You know what I mean?
Right?
But at least I think it makes sense. And there's redistricting. I mean, there's realignment now with the conferences. Like the Pac-12 is gone. So you're going to have a lot of these teams in bigger conferences. So at least if you win a conference championship, just like Florida State did, at least you'll get in. And then what they can do is they can maybe go, okay, well, Conference USA and, you know, Mountain West, if one of those teams goes undefeated and wins their, you know, conference championship, maybe they should go in, you know. Right. But it'll at least give the committee a little bit of, because man, it's like you have 5 conferences, power conferences. This was destined to go wrong, you know. But man, I know for all you Coach Dez fans, a lot of you, she's a big football fan, but I hope I explained that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's.
But even if you're not, let's just say, even if you're not a college football fan, just imagine if your kid was playing sports and their team went undefeated and still didn't get into the playoffs, because that's exposure to some people to get to play those games.
No, it's
you know?
huge. I mean, I think you know what I can say is, you know, NFL is my favorite thing. So I watch all the games. I love watching it, but. I think what people can resonate with, even if it's like gibberish, listening to these sports things, if you're not a football person, is the essence of teamwork, right? And what it means, whether it's cheerleading, whether it's track or, you know, gymnastics or anything as a parent that you're, you know, encouraging your kids to do and all the things it teaches you. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, right. So I think it's, you know, it's the kind of thing that brings people together, and it can also, you know, create a little friendly competition. So, I
mean, and the whole thing about the Florida State not getting in, it's just one of those things where it's funny because this is where people go, well, it's a beauty pageant. You know, it's how good you look, not if you won games, you know? And obviously, Alabama has been in the national championship, has fought almost every year. You know, they have you know, a great team. Georgia, you know, I mean, Michigan. So I mean, it sucked for Florida State. A lot of those kids were disappointed. They did what was asked of them, and still, you know. But I'm glad that we're going to be moving to 12 next year because, you know, it seems like every year there's always some drama, and they need to make it right. And I'm glad they're expanding it to make sure that they can not have this happen year in, year out, or every other year.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Because I think, and that's good that the committee is doing that, because they're recognizing, okay, we have to do this because we don't want to diminish college football.
Right.
And what these kids play for and what they deserve, you know?
Absolutely.
And so that was big news, but it's going to be a good one. Now, here's the thing. Florida State kids, what they should do, and I understand it's a disappointment, but go out there. And who are they playing? Let me see. I'm going to look at who they're playing real quick.
I mean, this too, and sports in general is a resiliency thing, right? I mean,
okay,
I think
they're going to play Georgia, okay, in the Orange Bowl. Georgia was number 1, okay?
Yeah.
Florida State needs to go out there and beat Georgia. I know that you're not going to get, you're not going to get the whole national championship trophy. But if you go out there and let that be your middle finger to the college, playoff committee for not picking you. Because if you can win with a third string quarterback and you can beat Georgia, who was the number 1 team all year, who's won back-to-back national championships, go beat them, and I guarantee you guys will have all the headlines, which will be good because it'll put a lot of spotlight on the players for when it's time for the draft and
Yeah.
So yeah. And I know the coach is telling his players that, because I know Florida State is a really good coach. And today, Coach Dion, primetime, Colorado just got a top offensive lineman who committed today on first take. Oh, Undisputed. I'm sorry. First on Undisputed with Skip. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because he was there and the kid was there and he pulled out his Colorado, and one of the and you'll like this. I know Dez will like this. One of the things that he said was, I want to go play for somebody who looks like me. Let that sink in. Now, when I heard him say that, I understand that a lot of people are going to be frustrated because it's going to be like when Barack Obama was president, when they were like, oh, if you're black and you voted for if you voted for Barack Obama, it's just because he was black. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And when this kid says, I'm going to go play for somebody who looks like me, it's like, oh, so you're just going to go play for somebody that, didn't have a winning record.
Thing,
yeah. So, but I mean, now is that wrong? You being, DEI, kind of person and equal opportunity and all that. Like, what do you think about a player saying, I want to go play for somebody who looks like me?
No, it's about integrity. That's never wrong. Yeah. Right? Like, everyone's convictions are going to be for different reasons, but part of the way that we make a stance in the world.
But let's keep it real. What if somebody let's just say I was a white kid who was like, well, I want to go. I don't want to play for no black player. I want to go play for a white coach.
Yeah, but the landscape is such that a black coach in the NFL is a minority as compared to a lot of. Right.
But do you think a white player would have gotten shit if he would have said, I don't want to play for a black? I want and again, this kid did not say I don't want to play for a white guy. Right. He just said, I want to play for someone who looks like me, which is kind of, the same thing. Right. If you think about it, you know what I mean?
But, and you have to understand you have to understand the context of where that's coming from, because you're talking about people in situations like this that are trying to find alignment and purpose in a place where you're the lesser. Mm-hmm. Anytime you're in a position of the lesser, it's a different narrative and it's a different story and experience than if you've got a plethora of opportunities. I will say this, though.
This past couple of years, a lot of people have been saying that there was a lot of black coaches that didn't get opportunities. There's a lot of players in college and in the NFL that get passed up because of their color. And it's, still kind of that going on here and there. But to those people who, and if that is true, then this is a result of it then. Because you have those players like Dion that comes out, Now he did say, this young man said, he did say, I want to go play for somebody who looks like me and who's played at all levels and dominated. So I know he's going to let me know at each level what it's going to take to be great.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that. But at the same time, I think it's if that is happening, then you're basically going to piss these young black players and say, well, shit, hell yeah, I'm going to go play for a black coach. You know what I mean? I'm going to go play for somebody and we're going to stick together and I'm going to go play for Coach Prime. And you know what? It's somebody that I can relate to, feel comfortable with, and I'm going to play hard for, you know? It's like, and who knows? I'm pretty sure that Deion Sanders being hired at Colorado now, it's crazy because he won like those games in the beginning and then they were just shitting on him like, oh, he's not the real deal. And, he had a losing season, but the kids, Colorado was only won one game the year before. Now, and then I think they won 4, Now there was a lot of close games though. Like, it could have been like, they could have had a winning season,
Yeah.
But I think they filled the stands.
Yeah.
Those kids played their heart out,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Garrett with this signing right here. It's exactly what Coach Prime was saying. He was like, I don't have no dogs up on the front, meaning I don't have no big linemen to protect my quarterback. And all year, Shedeur Sanders was the most sacked quarterback this year. And that's all they got to fix to become a contender. So if this guy takes a program that was 1-12 the year, the last year, and in a couple of years goes maybe 10-2.
Yeah.
That's going to be that
turnaround.
turnaround. But it's cool that Coach Prime kind of looks at it like, he knows he's going to get all the crap for and everything, and the people going to get criticism and all that. So, but he did land a top recruit.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. As soon as he said that, I was like, is that reverse racism? And he says, I'm going to go play for someone who looks like me,
Yeah.
But
well, he was honest. It is what it
only
is.
because, and for me, I don't think it's wrong. I think it's great because I think as a young man, when you're going to college, I think it's important that you have really good male role models that are going to make sure that, yes, you play good and everything, but that you succeed in life, because after football, what kind of man are you going to be? There's a lot of players that go to the NFL that get into trouble. You want to make sure that
see it on the news all the time.
These kids that come, a lot of these players don't have a lot of money, and then they get money, and then boom, all that happens to them. There's a lot of coaches that they don't care about what happens off the field. It's like, well, you do here, but a lot of these guys need some good mentorship, and they're going to listen to Deion. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure if you would talk to a lot of football coaches, and this doesn't even become about football anymore. I'm pretty sure it's become harder to keep these kids in line. Because as college football has become a big business now. You're on TV now. You're getting interviewed. You're getting, all this stuff. So a lot of stuff is coming at you at once.
Yeah,
you got to have somebody there to help you,
right? So many stories.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of these people that are parents are going to go, sending my kids to Colorado is not just about winning. And they're going to win, but they're going to make sure that they're prepared, to not make any dumb mistakes when they're not playing. Mm-hmm. So
it's huge. Big stuff. Big stuff.
Man.
But let's get into the big topic.
Into the meat of it.
So first of all, what's going on right now? We're at the end of 2023. We're moving into an election year.
Yes.
And so all over, everywhere, every channel, all the social media, this is going to be the big blast of information and a lot of deciphering that you have to do as an individual. Now, here's the thing. Let's start with the simple stuff, which is that you come into this environment with already a perspective and a belief system, right? And we have a spectrum that's left to right and everything in between. And so we come with that, but even within that, you have to, I love this phrase. It's from one of the authors that I really like, which is Don Miguel Ruiz. He wrote the 4 agreements. And in the 5th agreement, he says, be skeptical, but learn to listen, which means even if you are a progressive person, you should challenge that progressive agenda. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with every single thing that aligns with that. And if you're conservative, and the same thing goes. So while you have a basis of your belief system and a foundation, you should still continue to question. That's why there's candidates, right? That's why there's information that are out there for you to decipher and choose. Who do I best align with? What issues mean the most to me? What am I most passionate about? And you do that research. So I give that backdrop because Aaron happened to be watching a podcast today that was quite interesting. So I'm going to let you talk about that.
But here's the thing. Everything that you just said, okay, that advice is great and was received maybe 8 to 10 years ago. Okay. It was, I remember from the 90s and the 2000s, everybody was about, go out and vote, go out and vote. You know what I mean? If you believe in something, there's some issues, go and vote, go and vote. Okay. It's completely different now.
The game has changed.
There's this whole social media thing, okay, is really making things really bad. And for me, I can't, it was crazy, in the 2016 election, how there was so much misinformation spread. And now it's just getting worse, And then, I used to get really upset about it. I was like, oh man, these people, like, why are they believing like this crap and all this stuff? And of course, obviously people who do pay attention to politics and this kind of stuff understand that now in social media, there's bots. There are a lot of things. There are teams, there's groups, there's people that are outside the United States that flood social media with a lot of misinformation. Okay. We are the most powerful country in the world. Nobody's military can match up to us. Yeah, Russia and China, maybe there'd be a good fight, but it's not going to happen. We have bases all over. We are the United States is protected, you know what I mean? By both lands on both sides. We would definitely we can definitely go toe to toe with anybody. No problem. Everybody else knows this. So what do? You bring down the United States, not by firepower, but from within, and it's working.
It's working.
These people know that in order to bring down a society, you make them turn on each other.
We're imploding
and it's
from the inside.
Working, you know what I mean? And again, when the Mueller report, that whole thing, it wasn't about just Trump colluding with Russia. That's not what they were trying to make, and it says it in there that Russia had interfered in the election. Now, do they mess with the ballots? No. But they were heavy on social media.
Propaganda. And
the whole Russian collusion, what that was about was Trump going and saying, hey, Russia, if you guys have information, go ahead, go look. And they said, okay, we will. And all that stuff came out, that they were trying to get a whole bunch of stuff on Hillary Clinton, And if you look back on that whole thing about, man, so much. So yeah, okay. Let me just go on so many things. I'm trying to stay online here because this is very important. There's a lot of misinformation, okay, and it's not just coming from within the United States. It's coming from abroad, and these people don't understand this. Okay, a lot of people before social media still didn't even understand politics. You know what I mean? Because you had people back then. Let's go back to George Bush. And in 2000, and then when he got reelected, now you see people going like, okay, well, we were in Afghanistan for 20 years, nothing happened. There was no weapons of mass destruction, but you saw how an attack on 9/11 got everybody, Democrats and Republicans, to go, yes, we want to go kick somebody's ass. Somebody's gonna pay for this shit. You know what I mean? And we did all that, right? And then it was like, okay, well, the job's not done. We got to keep going, you know? So, and again, it was a lot of lies, a lot of deception, you know? And now it's just on a whole nother level. And what gets me is I get it. I can't even tell people like, do your research because they don't even know what that means. That doesn't mean go just on Facebook, you know, because you're reading stuff that's propaganda.
But that, and here's the thing, and it would be very interesting if we were to do a poll right now to ask people, where do you get information? What's the primary and maybe secondary source of information?
Yeah.
I would venture to guess that there are many people who would say Facebook, TikTok. I mean,
and opinion news.
Right.
Okay. Now, and here's the thing, and I'm done saying, well, you know, it's both sides and people. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Both sides for many years, you know, when it comes to politics, you have a lot of candidates that come and promise something, and then they do like maybe a quarter of it. Right.
Right.
And I get that. And, you know, every time when it's election year, what do we see? All these ads. Oh, do you really want somebody who's like crazy and slept with other people? And, but you know, it's like, stuff, done. This person is evil. It's bad. It's like everybody's got like some shit on somebody, right?
Right.
So you hear all this stuff and go, damn, well, they both sound crazy, you know?
Exactly.
Even in the local elections, it's crazy. But there's official documents. The thing about the internet is that you have the government every single Senate hearing, transcripts. But people don't read anymore.
That's the craziest thing. You can go to, you know, we've done it before on the show where you go to the whitehouse.gov and you could see the priorities. You could see where things are, you know, stand. And you have to be diligent in where you obtain information and the sources that you're going to cite to back something up, right?
Yeah. Now, and also here's the thing. We watched the presidential debate.
Yeah.
The primary debates. Then we got Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Nick Ramaswamy. Okay. Those are the only ones that are left. One of the things that was brought up.
And Donald Trump, but he wasn't there.
Yeah. One of the things that was brought up was that Nikki Haley was saying, well, you know, everybody should be required to give their ID, right? If you're going to be on social media. And they took that as, oh, you want to be authoritarian. But what she was saying basically was, if you're going to go online and say something, we need to verify that you're a person.
Right.
Okay.
Her point was about the bots.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The First Amendment, everybody has a right to talk shit and do stuff. That's fine. You know, you want to give your opinion, that's fine. But you want to make sure, okay, let's make sure that how many people these are bots. Okay, because that is the problem. You don't want, because it can go both ways. If somebody doesn't like another candidate, you know, like for example, China. Trump is starting to be rough on China. So they're probably like, well, you know what? Let's try to influence so he doesn't get in. It can go either way. And you do not want bots putting out information and people believing it.
Right.
So it's like her idea. She's trying to attempt to say, okay, well, let's just make sure that whatever you're hearing on social media comes from a human. And if they do say some false information, they can be called out and held accountable.
Right.
You know, so that's okay. Another thing is there's this thing now. Okay, so after this past election, okay, you had Fox News get sued by the voting machines, Dominion Systems and Sematic.
The other one.
Yeah. They got sued and won. Why? Because they had evidence. They took it to court. This wasn't, a conspiracy theory or some of the that's not true. Okay. If you have a problem, you take it to court, we have judges, and mind you, Donald Trump appointed a lot of these judges, so they're not deep state or district Democrats, okay? A lot of these people are Republican appointed judges. They took this case, they showed a lot of evidence, and it didn't even go to court. Fox News just said, we'll settle because we know this is going to be bad, okay? Another court case had somebody suing Fox News and Tucker Carlson. And in the court documents, they say, well, Tucker Carlson, they even said, our show is just entertainment. Do not take us seriously.
Yikes.
Okay, so under oath in a court, the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you don't tell the truth and they find out you're lying, that's perjury. This is why it's very important to if you really want to know what's happening, just go to court documents, because what these people have to say
and you
under
can
oath,
watch hearings.
Yes,
while they're happening.
C-SPAN shows these Senate hearings all day, every day.
You're like,
okay, and I get it. There's a lot of grandstanding and everything, but again, you get to listen to both sides ask questions. Mm-hmm. It's really getting bad, and here's the thing that, I know that, in the past 20 years, what I've learned is when it comes to presidential elections, people vote on their pocket, on what's going on financially, okay? Mm-hmm. And what's going on, how things are affecting their lives now. Okay?
That's right.
We know that when an administration comes in, when the other person comes in, it's not it's a blank slate. No, right. you
get the remnants of everything that was left to you.
Yeah, when a policy is made, one that's proposed, it's got to go and pass the House and the Senate and get approved by the president, and then get implemented. That's right. Then after that, it takes a while to see the effects on every policy. So policies that George Bush had in place, are going to be carried over to the Obama administration. The Obama administration, there's stuff that's going to be carried over. So what you're seeing is, and this is what gets me upset is when people go, oh, well, the gas prices are so high because of Biden. It's like, that is not true. Yeah. First of all, a president does not control the gas prices. Okay. And people forget, under the Trump administration, when the shutdowns were all happening, mm-hmm. nobody was driving. Basic supply and demand, okay? Right. So nobody was driving. Gas prices went way down because nobody was driving. It's supply and demand. If you have a lot of supply, then you're going to get a better price, okay? Just like, and if you don't understand that, okay, Tickle Me Elmo doll was a big hit in the 90s, right? Man, people were selling Tickle Me Elmos for what? Like $500
on what, eBay or whatever?
Yeah, going crazy. Why? Because it was scarce.
Yeah. Scarcity causes prices to go up.
Yeah, just like an iPhone, just like certain items, and just like with cars, okay? There was a chip problem. A lot of cars weren't being manufactured enough. It wasn't be able to keep up with the demand. That's why a lot of car prices this way. If anybody goes and tries to buy a car right now, you cannot find a car for under $20,000 anymore. There's only like one car. Everything's expensive. Why? And now there's a lot of cars. There's a lot of inventory. Now you're going to see prices going down. Same thing with gas. Nobody was driving during the coronavirus and everything was shut down. As soon as everybody started, all the lockdowns came off and people were going back to work, guess what? There's a high demand for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Not to mention, even when Donald Trump was in office, OPEC, okay, in Saudi Arabia and the Middle Eastern countries, they have OPEC. Okay. It's a collective, it's a committee of these people that have oil, mm-hmm. and they choose whether they want to produce oil or not produce oil, or cap it. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump was even trying to make sure that this doesn't happen. He was going over there trying to, and I'll give him credit for that. He was going over there to try to make sure that they didn't do this, because again, if they say, okay, well, we're not going to produce that much oil, so we can charge more, make more money. That's just business.
Mm-hmm.
That was what they wanted to do. They wanted to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then what happens? He knows this. This is why when he was campaigning, he was like, well, if I'm not president, the gas is going to go up to like $9, $8. Well, because you know what's going to happen. You knew it. So that's an example of this. That's one of many examples, and again, remember, and here's another thing. Oh my God, I'm going to play the clip of why this, an example of why I get frustrated with this. When people say, well, I had more money when Trump was in office.
Let's look at the context of that.
Does everybody remember the coronavirus and everything was shut down? What happened? Everybody got to apply for unemployment. PPP loans, right?
Yeah.
So if you were an individual who worked, you got unemployment. Even if you didn't work, you got a stimulus check. Okay. And if you had a business,
mm-hmm.
an LLC or anything, if you had a business,
an S corp,
you got to get a loan that was forgivable.
Right.
There was so much money getting pumped in. So because everybody got to sit on their ass and get money, well, of course it was good.
Well, but then you have to understand, and that's why we did that whole episode on inflation, and interest rates, and Nikki Haley did talk about this
mm-hmm.
in the debates. When you spend or you borrow, what happens? You have debt.
Yeah.
Debt, just like if you want to make it simple and look at your credit card, needs to get paid back, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's how it works. And so mm-hmm. we are in the situation today as we are 3 years post the pandemic from its initiation, right? From when it started, its inception. We're in that place right now.
Yeah. And if you still don't understand, because I really want people to understand this, because I get it. Again, if you have kids and you work, there's a lot going on. Okay. I understand people are really busy nowadays. People are trying to make money and people are trying to pay bills. I get it. Sometimes the only time you get to see news is when you're sitting on the toilet looking at your phone. Okay. I'm going to explain it to you guys. Okay. Let's just say there was a mom who had a couple of kids. And the dad, right, loses his job. Okay. And they run up the credit card. Okay. Boom. It's like, hey, they go shopping. Their life is sustained. And it's just running. He's just running up the credit card. Racks up $20,000, $30,000 of debt. Okay. Now let's say, hey, you know what? They get a divorce and the stepdad comes in. All right. Who's got to pay for that? Right. And even if it's not like a stepdad, let's just say you ran up the credit card bill. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You still have to pay that. And let's just say the dad, okay, no stepdad comes in, but just the dad comes in and he does get a job. Okay, so now you're making money, but you got $20,000 of debt.
And interest on top
and you
of
have
what
to
you borrowed.
pay that. So it was like, okay, well, yeah, and as kids, and this is how the people are. It's like the kids going, well, we were getting all these toys and going out to dinner and watching movies all the time. Everything was good. But now we can't, Dad's saying we can't do that anymore because he's got to pay back this debt. So, oh man, it sucks now. And it's like, that's how people are talking about right now. It's like, oh, well, it was better back then when we were getting free money. And now because on the another administration comes in and says, well, we need to pay this back. And why did inflation rates go up? Why did things go up? Was because they had to make sure. And again, and I know that people don't understand this, but again, simple. In order to make sure that inflation doesn't go up, because again, you pump a lot of money into the system. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're just printing money. That's going to create inflation. Okay. Now, prices of goods start going up. Everything starts going up. Cost of living starts going up. So what the feds do is they raise the rates to slow it down. so it doesn't get out of hand. So we don't end up like a third world country like Venezuela or anything like that. So you have people that are smart enough that are trying. And again, I know it was kind of hard where, gas prices go up, everything's going up, but people are in place to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. And now look you're starting to see things level off. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the world had inflation, but the United States had the lowest rate hike. It was the lowest. Mm-hmm. Jobs were created. People were going back to work. Unemployment is low. So I get the whole illusion that things were better, but that's just, again, it's just like going back to the thing. It's like, oh yeah, dad lost his job, but we were still doing stuff because he didn't have to go to work and we were just going to the movies and playing all the time and spending money doing all that. Yeah, it was good. But then when he had to go back to work, well, dad's not around and he's so busy now, and then all this stuff isn't happening because he's got to pay that down.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's being responsible. And so let's get into this clip, because this is, to me, what is just...
Well, this is important because what we want to do is illustrate a real example of... This is just a snippet of what is rampant all over the place. Yeah. And so then we can diagnose
this person. It. Okay, so I'm going to give a big shout out to Roland Martin. He does like black media. Mm-hmm. He's got a podcast, a YouTube. Smart brother. He's really good. And I like it because, as a Latino, being from El Paso, when I hear people going like, yeah, I'm for Trump and all this stuff, it's like, why? Why? And when you ask them, they don't have any real reason why. It's for reasons that are just not valid. And I'll explain what I mean by that. But here in this situation, Roland interviews a man who is a BLM leader in his city. And this guy is just saying, oh, I'm for Trump and everything. Now, here's the thing. I'm not trying to convince people what you should believe in, what policies you should believe in. That's fine. If you're a person who likes the policies and likes what he did, really what he did, that's up to you. That's fine. All I'm saying is that when you have somebody who just is just oblivious to the facts and has no reason, and this guy just hits every single propaganda and just says it all. You know what I mean? So let's go into this little clip real quick, and we'll explain.
Said that Trump has done more for the black community than any president. What has he done?
He's done a lot.
Name it.
Actually.
Name it.
And I'm surprised that most people don't really know.
No, I'm asking you to name it.
Okay.
Name it.
I'm going to. For starters, because this is important as an educated man, and $250 million annually has been allocated to HBCUs, which is big because I went to Hampton. No, it's not a lie. No, it's not a lie.
Stop. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
And minority serving schools.
I'm sorry.
But it's all together. It's for people of color.
Let me ask you a question, Mark.
90 million of it went to black schools.
Mark,
and not only that,
Mark, let me ask you a question.
It was about to be expired. He took the initiative to not let it expire. And not only that,
Mark, you're wrong.
Give it a 10-year
stay
where it was being done every year. He said, why do we have to keep coming back every year to get money?
Mark, what you just said right now is a lie.
What am I
wrong?
Let me prove you. Prove me wrong.
The program that you're talking about started under President George W. Bush.
The president and CEO of the United Negro Fund thanked him publicly.
Will you please listen? See, again, though. When you're operating in an alternative world, I'm giving you for real facts. Let me say it again.
He did not thank him publicly.
Mark, listen.
The United Negro Fund president and CEO, Mr. Lomax, did not thank him publicly.
The program you're speaking of started under President George W. Bush. Mm-hmm. It continued under President Barack Obama. It expired. What you do not know is that Donald Trump zeroed that program out of his budget. It was Congressman Alman Adams of North Carolina who put it back in the budget. She was the co-chair of the Congressional HBCU caucus. Then it went to the United States Senate. Donald Trump, let me tell you again, Mark.
Signed off on it.
No, he did not sign off on it. Again, Donald Trump's budget, which he submitted to Congress, removed the money. Congress put it back in, led by Alma Adams. Now, do you know who broke that thing down? A gentleman named Walter Kimbrough. Do you know who Walter Kimbrough is? Two-time HBCU president who detailed it, who was actually in that meeting in the local office when Trump was there. So what you're sitting on, you're saying, oh, $250 million. Let me ask you this question. How much money have HBCUs gotten in the last 3 years from the Biden-Harris administration?
Okay, this is important, okay? Because now this whole interview goes like this. And I get it. And I understand people do not like confrontation. But I'm glad that Roland's doing this because it's like, people are trying to educate their people. And you're gonna have to have these tough conversations because it's to me, I get really upset when I'm like, dude, you're going down a path and you're not getting the right information. You're voting against yourself.
Well,
and,
and here's the scary part. And then I want you to continue because this point is really important. You just said before you started this clip that this is a BLM leader.
Yeah.
Leader indicates that this is a human being that influences other people.
Yes.
So there's people that are just going to say, oh, everything that he's saying as our leader is accurate. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. Yes. That's what's happening all over the place.
Yeah. So let's continue.
But I never paid $10 for eggs or $5
I'm sorry,
for gas.
What school did you say you went to?
I never paid $10 for eggs or $5 for gas.
Mark, don't try to change the subject.
No, I'm just telling you. You talk about the economy. Under Trump, it was booming.
Mark, I'm asking you again.
And black unemployment was at a historic all-time low.
HBCU.
You want to talk about numbers?
We're going to stay on HBCUs. What school you went to again?
I went to Hampton for a year.
Oh, you went to Hampton?
And then I went to North Point Bible College in Haverhill, Mass.
So let me ask you this question, Mark. You said Trump allocated $250 million to black and Hispanic serving institutions. About 90.
You're reading it.
No. I don't have to read because I got it up here. You say about 90 million of that went to HBCUs, right? That's what you say, correct?
That's correct.
Mark,
that is the recognized information.
Mark, are you
consensus
aware?
Information.
Are you aware in the last 3 years under Biden-Harris, $6.5 billion has gone to HBCUs, not Hispanic serving institutions, HBCUs, $6.5 billion. So you held up $90 million under Trump and $6.5 billion under Biden-Harris, but you say Trump is better for HBCUs?
You're telling me.
Do you need the proof?
You're telling me Joe Biden.
Do you want the proof?
Gave $6.5 billion.
I'm sorry. Do you want the proof?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Okay, here's the deal.
To HBCUs.
Oh, no, yes.
And when he can't even, he can't even put together a reparations commission. Why would he do that?
And a matter of fact,
he's such a flip-flopper.
Hold up, wait. Oh, here we go. You went to Hampton,
He's such a liar.
You went to Hampton, right?
He's such a duplicitous.
Did you go to Hampton?
Did
you go to Hampton?
That's why he picked the vice president he picked.
Did you go to Hampton?
He could have picked anybody else.
Did you go to Hampton?
Because they're both just as duplicitous.
Did you go to Hampton? You say you went to Hampton, right?
Two peas in a pod.
You went to Hampton, right?
She's Indian.
You went to Hampton, right?
HBCU
you went
tours.
To Hampton, didn't
but
you?
during the tour, she's all Wakanda forever.
See, Mark, see what you're doing.
Okay, Roland's about to give him the numbers, but you see here
deflection,
deflection, and he cannot sit there and have a debate. And this is what a lot of these people who get sucked down the rabbit hole is they start, oh, well, he's this and he's that and everything. And they want to do all that, but they don't give any facts.
Where is your information coming from?
Obviously, these people go and say, well, oh yeah, well, Trump did this for HBC. And they don't know the whole context. They don't know the whole thing. Because here's the thing. Under Biden and Harris, they did the infrastructure bill. Okay. And they even said, we're going to do this bill and every single Republican is going to vote against it when it's time to get the money. and they're down there and breaking ground on construction on fixing roads and bridges, those same Republicans are going to be there going, oh yeah, you know what? We fought hard for this money to give it to the community and build, and they take credit for it, you know? And this is an example of that. So here we go.
See, you
What
doing,
am I doing? I'm
see, this is why you love Trump, because you doing the same nonsense he do. You bring up something, then you switch topics.
You told me you was going to show me. I said I'd love to see it.
Mark, I'm walking you through it.
I'm waiting,
I
bro.
told you point blank. Hampton University, I'm going to tell you how much Hampton actually got. Hampton University, $48.7 billion under Cap 1, 4.2 under CARES Act, 9.8 under CARES Act.
Wait.
No.
You're telling me when did this happen?
12 million.
When?
No, hold on.
When?
American
Where?
Rescue Plan,
How?
12 million.
Who?
Last 3 years.
And to what extent?
American Rescue Plan 2, 21. Your university.
You're reading numbers.
Wait.
What is that? What source is that?
Department of Education.
Okay, and
Hello, Department of Education, you guys. If anybody wants to get information, it's available to you. The Freedom of Information Act. Okay? If you guys want to really research credible sources, okay? If you have not gone to college yet, or you didn't go to college, and even if you go to high
This
school.
guy went to college and he doesn't know where to find the information.
Desiree, you went to college. If you write a research paper, what do you have to do?
You have to cite credible sources. It is a part of what you need to do every time you put pen to paper and you type something up. You have to cite the sources where you're making your specific claim.
Okay.
You are taught how to do that.
And if you're a person
And there's plagiarism.
Yeah.
They look for that.
and I get it, not everybody's doing a research paper here, because if everybody had to do a research paper before if everybody was being graded, and let's just say you had to get a B or an A in order to post your post on Facebook before it went out, 90% of you guys would fail because you don't cite sources. You don't even know what you're talking about.
And I'll be like,
So
I watched this video on Facebook
I guarantee you, if
yesterday.
everybody, before you put a post out there about some issue, and you had to get graded and cite your sources, I guarantee you a lot of you would not pass. And do the same thing that this guy's doing right here. Okay, let's continue.
did this happen?
The last 3 years.
The last 2 years, each year.
Each year.
Okay.
The total amount that your university.
Okay, but you're telling me
Mark,
that
wait.
still doesn't equate
Mark, stop.
to 10 years
Mark,
worth
listen,
of
Mark, listen.
$95 million.
Mark, that's a lie.
How is that?
Your own university, Hampton, received $112 million alone. The total amount
You
that went
said
to
over the last 2 years.
The total amount that went to HBCUs
You saying over the
is
last 3
$6
years?
billion.
Over the last 3
$567 million.
You saying Hampton got how much?
$112 million.
Over how long? What type?
In the last 3 years.
Over
And
the
I
last-
named them. Let me name them again. Let me name them again.
Okay, yeah. So okay. Again, I understand if you don't like confrontation, but I'm glad Roland is doing this and brought this guy on, and then they're talking about it. Because
Attempting.
and I've done the same thing in my household. Every time that I want to bring something out, I will sort official documents. They're available for you online. You can go through. I've seen so many. And now I'm in video. I'm in media. I know when somebody gets a video from 10, 20 years back that, oh yeah, this is what's happening in Ukraine. That video looks like it was recorded from a VHS, and you know what I mean? And they take out there's stuff that people will get and reuse it and remix it and do all that. You know what I mean? When it comes to video. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to stuff like this, you guys, I mean, Roland is they're not going and giving each other's opinion. He's going and telling them, look, what you're saying is false, and here's the proof. And you see what this guy, Mark Fisher, is just like, he doesn't want to go, he just doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, and the best part is the end.
Yeah.
So you're gonna show that
yeah,
part here.
let's jump into the end. Here we go.
That is just, oof.
Brother, it's real simple.
I want to know who you're
It's real
talking
simple. If you're going to run around spouting stuff, bruh, have some facts. double check some stuff.
Can I tell you something?
Your stuff is so easily
Roland,
disproven.
this is what
it's unbelievable.
Let me 30
seconds.
Let me drop some knowledge real quick.
You ain't dropping no knowledge.
I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you.
What you gonna drop?
This is what y'all don't understand. People don't care about the facts. You know what they care about? Perception. Because that's 9/10 of reality.
What in the fuck is he talking? Okay, I'm glad.
This is like,
I'm glad.
this is disillusionment to the furthest degree. This is like, you know how we go into
Des,
it. I'm like,
glad this guy Mark is probably the only true thing that he said this whole interview. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Roland and put this interview so you guys can watch the whole thing. But this is probably the only true thing that he said. He was this, and I'm glad he said it. And let's listen to the rest of it.
Guess what?
This is what I'm trying to explain. You're so concerned with the facts.
Wow.
I'm concerned with the narrative.
I'm so concerned with the facts.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You know what?
why?
I'm not saying don't be concerned, but don't be overly concerned with them.
Hold on, I'm
because
sorry.
while you're so concerned and beating up on the facts, guess what? People are leaving in droves and they're disavowing the Democrats and they're endorsing Donald Trump. Right under your nose.
So what you're saying is, Roland, don't tell the truth. Be like Trump and lie.
Right under your nose.
All right, that's a
Right
good
under our noses.
that's a good one to close out on.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh. He just said you're more bent up on the facts. I mean,
and he's talking about the narrative. That's the most important thing. It's the fucking story that you're telling yourself that doesn't make any logical, rational sense. That's the problem. And that is what has driven our country to the degradation and disintegration that we're seeing today.
yeah.
Is because people are going out there storytelling, and it's like we're, all these movies that we watch to escape, like Narnia or freaking The Hunger Games and all this stuff. It's not real, right? It's like we are watching this happen where reality is getting twisted into this freaking disillusionment, and people are buying into it.
I've been a lifelong Republican, but I'm an American first. I do believe in the Constitution. I understand that our justice system doesn't get it right all the time, but at the same time, this is why you can appeal. This is why we have Supreme Court circuits in every state, and we have a federal Supreme Court. Okay? What that means is that if you have a trial, you can appeal it. Other people can look at it, and if they find holes in it and that the judge didn't do right, you can get it overturned. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't do that is that they don't have good representation. They either can't afford it. But a lot of this stuff that what's going on right now with a lot of these indictments, you have to understand, in order to indict somebody, you have to bring evidence to a grand jury to get permission to indict somebody. This isn't we're going to just indict him and then just see if evidence. That's not what this is. You guys need to understand, okay? Especially when they were saying that there was election interference and fraud and all this stuff in this last election. They said, bring the evidence. Bring the evidence. And they did. There was 64 court cases. Most of them Donald Trump appointed judges. Looked at facts, looked at
figures and
at allegations and everything. Okay? They looked at that. And they ruled that there was no election interference on a lot of these cases. Not only that, but you'll have people on the news, on like Fox News, and people say, well, we got an affidavit from somebody that said that they saw, ballot stuffing and all this stuff and everything. It's like, dude, do you know what an affidavit is? You guys, an affidavit is a document, is somebody that just says, is somebody putting their account of something. Okay, you're officially saying that this is what you saw. Okay, great. So bring that to court. But no, they basically say, we got a letter of somebody that said that they saw some shit. Okay, well, But that's not an official document. That's not, bring the proof then. You know what I mean? I mean, it's to me, I understand that half of this country voted for Donald Trump. I understand that there's a lot of people that like him for whatever reason, but I guarantee you most people who are for Donald Trump have no idea of policies. They have no understanding of how government works. They they listen to a lot of propaganda. And I'm glad that this conversation happened because it needs to happen. A few days after this interview, he went on Fox News. And it was just softball questions and all, because Fox News loves to get a guy like this, like Candace Owens, to go on Fox News and show, oh yeah, you see, there are black people that are against Democrats. You know what I mean? And again, that doesn't mean that if you're Latino or black, you have to be a Democrat. You know what I mean? It's policy. You know what I mean? If you ask these people what policies, they can't tell you.
Well, and here's the thing, because we're not even to the point where we're voting, between Biden and Trump, right? Mm-hmm. Assuming that it's Biden that's the Democratic candidate for presidency. As you just look at the Republican Party right now, that my opinion is that it's in disarray. And of course, people are going to say, well, polling numbers, that's not always the indication because things can go completely different as compared to the polls. But the reality of what has occurred up until this point, and we're in December of the year before the election, is that Donald Trump is independently operating, not even within our political system, right? Mm-hmm. He does not show up to debates against the people that he's debating
and you know
with.
What? I'm glad you brought that up because here's the thing. If you're so proud of America, make America great, it's all about,
it's about tradition,
all this stuff, right?
If you're a Republican, right?
Then why don't you have the decency to go up and show respect for the people, for your supporters, to go on that stage and say, this is why you need to vote for me?
He holds his rallies.
Yeah, he holds his rallies. And again, but why? Again, for those of you people that are so against, like, oh, you need to do your own research and do all this. Well, then why can't he have a debate? Why can't Donald Trump go on a stage and ask these hard questions amongst his colleagues?
That's right.
Why can't that? To me, that's a big disrespect. It's I'm too good to go up on the stage to say why. Again, this is not a CEO of a company. This is the president of the United States. On the Constitution, it says we the people.
Right.
These politicians, the president of the United States, works for us.
But the thing that people don't see is Donald Trump works for himself. That's the thing. His objective is retribution. And he says it in so many different ways about he'll be a dictator for a day, just for a day, when he comes in and does what he wants to. And he has a vendetta against those that he feels has wronged him in every way. And people, you want to get behind that is fucking asinine to me.
Oh, sorry, Des, go ahead.
No, that's okay. But and so, I would play what you're going to play, and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead. I'm going to find out what it says.
Well, I want to ask you, being that you're a Republican and people are going through this process now, this is your opportunity, right? Have you actually watched the debates? If you're really looking at everything to make an informed decision, while you might be paying attention to the rallies and you may be paying attention to the things that Trump is doing, are you paying attention to the 4 candidates that spoke last night and what they stand for and what they're arguing? There's a lot of good conversations and really pointed questions that are asked by all the commentators that was facilitating the discussion, and put each one of them through the fire of the things that they're getting critiqued for by the media and by the people. And they have to defend their positions and stand up for what they, all the things that they can bring to the table that they believe are factual to defend the reason why they're qualified to do the job.
Yeah. And again, if somebody says, look, you know what, I have yet to hear somebody go, I like these policies. Now, here's the thing. If you say, hey, you know what, I'm all for building the wall. Okay. That was one of the things that he did and campaigned on, If you want to say that, when he gave big tax breaks, okay, he gave big tax breaks to the top 1%. Okay, now if you're on that 1% and you got those big tax breaks because you have a big corporation, okay, all right. If you there's not a lot of policies. I'm really trying to think of like policies that he put out. There's a lot of executive orders, but this whole thing about, law and order and you know what I mean? When the whole George Floyd thing happened, it's you want to say you guys back the blue and all this stuff and but then when you have actual police officers say that they were assaulted on January 6th, then you're against that. You were really upset when people wanted to defund the police, but now you want to defund FBI?
Mm-hmm.
His own attorney general is now speaking out against him. If you look at the court hearings, a lot of his lawyers and people are saying, they're having to tell the truth. Those same lawyers that went on TV and, touted this big lie are now walking it back and now apologizing in court. So,
and that's the thing that that blows my mind.
Obviously, you guys can tell I don't like Donald Trump.
Well,
okay? But here's the thing. My thing is, when I see something like this interview, this guy has no credible facts and then is going to sit there and say, well, it's not about the facts. Okay, so what is it about then?
The narrative.
Okay, so what is the narrative right now? Okay, because this is what this guy's saying. And he went on Fox News and said, well, it's because Donald Trump's a real man. If you're a real man, you vote for Donald Trump. That's why you're going to vote for him?
And what's the interpretation of that supposed to be?
It amazes me how everybody was about, Biden and the Democrats are all pedophiles and stuff. Give me one court case or what scandal has he, and again, I understand you can go and get videos and slow them down when somebody gives somebody a hug or, I guarantee you right now, if I can go to any video and pause a video where somebody gives somebody a hug and it looks inappropriate.
As a video editor,
yes.
I see that some of the ones that you look at.
Yeah. And it's like, but again, but you had Donald Trump who went to court, who was found liable
right.
for sexual assault.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. This is a person who has undermined all the years that this institution has been built, and it's an atrocity. So for me, this isn't about, and you can replay this as many times as you need to understand it. For me, it's not about Democrat versus Republican. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
This is about the fact that this is a person that so many people back that is, look at the book that Liz Cheney just came out with. and former people who worked for Donald Trump that is agreeing, they worked for him. Think about that for a second. These are people who firsthand were working side by side that's saying, yes, he is a threat.
Yeah.
He is a threat to our country, our foreign affairs, and everything else. And so does that not give you any indication?
Here's a couple of things I hear. Oh, well, the world respected us more on Donald Trump because he was more tough on everybody. Okay, now, I understand when you Donald Trump comes out, talks shit to North Korea. You know what I mean? And, he's out there buddy with Russia, He didn't, how do you go and threaten North Korea, Kim Jong-un, and then say, oh yeah, he's a really good guy and he wrote us love letters. We wrote love letters. You know what I mean? That's not, it's, I understand that you think, okay, yeah, there was no big, wars or stuff going on. But again, that's not to say that things weren't happening behind closed doors. Putin could have been waiting and saying, okay, well, you know what? This is our chance to strike,
He is a rogue warrior out there.
And this is another thing that I see. It's Donald Trump is not a politician. He is an influencer. And just like everybody likes the Joker, everybody likes Scarface.
That's right.
They're like, oh yeah, he was bad because, he had a big gun. And, I remember watching MTV Cribs and a lot of rappers had a picture of Scarface and was like, yeah, Scarface. You know what I mean?
Power.
I get it. There's a guy that's like, big and bad and, and doesn't take no shit for nobody and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And that's like, but again, that does not work well when it comes to policy, when it comes to making sure that the stability of the economy.
He's an unstable person. That's not going to be somebody who's fit to be the president.
You're talking about somebody who criticized, Obama for golfing, but golfed way more. There's so much we can go through, but again, my biggest thing, and again, I understand. You know what? If you are a Donald Trump person, you probably already turned this off, whatever, or you're not going to listen anymore. Okay, that's fine. But for those of you who know these people, who are people you work with or people you live with or your family, you're going to have to deal with this. And I think you need to have the conversation. You need to sit down and I've done this too. And I've said, okay, look, calmly say, okay, there's an issue. Okay, this is what somebody posts something or somebody says something. Okay, yeah, let's go and look at the facts. Let's go and look what this was about and see if they know what the context is, what the issue is. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to.
And I would say get specific then, right?
Yeah.
So people can understand broad categories: education, economy. Pick the thing that you care about, healthcare, and then just for one night focus on that topic.
Yeah.
This isn't about casting the net so wide and trying to overcomplicate things and in one night learn American history and politics and everything else. Focus on the thing that matters the most in your household amongst the people you care about and have to make decisions with, because that's where, it does start at the kitchen table. That's literally where that thing came from. You have to have uncomfortable conversations to start to make them comfortable and to normalize the things that people avoid talking about. Talk about them.
Mm-hmm. And then, it does frustrate me because let's just say, and God, I hope this doesn't happen, but let's just say Donald Trump becomes president. Everything that this current administration has been working on, the policies, the infrastructure bill, sending aid to Ukraine, to Israel, all this stuff that's been going on, making sure that when the jobs are coming out, jobs are doing great, and inflation's coming down, and now gas is coming down a little bit. Okay, all this stuff we're paying our bills, right? Doing what we need to, obviously, is going to be carrying over to the next administration. And what are they going to do? You see, we brought America back again. No, you didn't.
You've been here for 5 days. Yeah, what are you talking about?
And these people on day one, any good news that comes out of what was taking place in this administration, they're gonna go, oh, see, gas has dropped a couple. You know what I mean?
Take the credit for it.
Yeah, they're gonna take the credit for that. But man, you know what? You know what it's looking like now, and this is why a lot of people who are on politics and on the Republican side are trying to warn and try to do. And this is why Chris Christie, he knows he's not going to win. His only job is to go up there and point this stuff out on a national stage, on a platform, on the debate. Mm-hmm. Point out why Donald Trump should not be president. Mm-hmm. He's doing that because these people understand that if he comes back in, I mean, he didn't even know he was going to win. He was like, oh, this is cool. I get to be president. Okay. And then they go, okay, well, you have to do work. Well, they brought daily briefings to him, which are supposed to be everything that's going on in the world. It's like, that's too much. Just give me bullet points. You know? He was just pretty much chilling. He thought it was cool. Now, after all this stuff is coming out, all these indictments, everything, oh, he's coming back with a vengeance. He just said on an interview with Hannity that on day one, he will be a dictator just for day one. But when everybody says, oh, no, he's not a dictator, he's not a fascist, this stuff is coming from his mouth now.
Well, but this is what is disheartening and so frustrating is that for all of the facts that are coming out there, because the indictments are public, all this information is out there of the things that he is getting, you know, all the evidence against him, the people that support him don't care.
Yeah.
They're like,
and I get it. Yeah. You can have 100 court cases and prove, and these people just don't care.
They're like, he's bold, he's brave, he's different.
And here's the thing, why I get so upset. Because these same people, right, that are going to vote for Trump are going to vote against themselves because there's not going to be
a single thing,
any policy, that he's going to do for any of his. Here's the thing, he'll do more for people who are in positions that have big business, you know what I mean? That, you know, have LLCs, have, you know, make more than $250,000, that, you know what I mean? That have that know how to do loopholes in the tax system. He's gonna do that for those people, but not for you. You know, I like it when Dave Chappelle, when he was doing this special, he was saying, you know, all these people that were going and voting would say, yeah, he's gonna go out there and fight for us. And he's like, no, you dumb motherfucker. Like, he's fighting for me. You're poor. You know what I mean? And that's and I'm glad he said that because that's so true. Majority of these people who are, you know, feel like their pockets are thin right now. Like, you think things are gonna change?
Yeah.
You know? They're not gonna give out free money again. You know? And man, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna vote against yourself. And you're going to see the effects. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where you're trying to tell people, like, you know, this is not good. You know, but again, people don't want to, again, if you tell somebody, hey, you can go to college for 4 years, not have a lot of money, you know, get out, do an internship, you know, start at the bottom, work your way up. And by the time maybe you're 27, 28, you'll be making, you know, $200,000 a year. Or you can go start working right now and make money and don't have to do all that. Like, people are gonna take the road less traveled, the easy way.
I mean, you know, and that is a thing. Right now, you have a choice. We all have a choice. Mm-hmm. Every single one of us in this country has a choice as to whether we're gonna do the work to understand and make decisions that are going to positively and personally affect us in a way that is favorable. That is like the minimum basic ask that Aaron and I are saying.
Yeah.
Is think about you personally, what's going to impact you favorably. And if all the evidence is laid out that is what Donald Trump is going to do for you, mm-hmm. like, okay, but, you know, this is an opportunity for you to do something different and to weed through all the bullshit that is out there. And that's what scares me, is the fact that because social media and propaganda and so much fake news and bots and all the things that we've just been talking about is out there.
Yeah. It's just like this whole woke thing.
Yeah.
That, that is complete bullshit what the right does with this word. They basically, again, and I'm going to give you, and you ask anybody what is woke, they can't even define it. I'm going to give you the definition right now. Woke is aware of an actively attentive to I'm sorry. I'm so riled up. Aware and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. Woke is not gay people. Woke is not pedophilia. Woke is not Bud Light commercials. Like it's like they're using this word as a fear-mongering thing because again, Jordan Kepler, man, from the Daily Show, I love his bits because he goes out to these rallies and asks these people things, and they can define it. Mm-mm.
Just like all the other topics, like critical race theory and everything else.
Yeah, and to me, I think this is what I feel. Okay, woke is pretty much like the new, like again, for back then, it was like, if you look at the United States history, okay, and you see like segregation, right, and slavery and gay rights, you know what I mean? Anybody who wanted to have rights or have equality, okay, it was you were called derogatory names, you know what I mean? Back then it was like, we don't want black people in our neighborhoods. We don't want them on the same bus as us. We don't, you know what I mean? I mean, you had the Brown versus the Board of Education. You didn't, people didn't want black people going into the same schools, I mean, you're talking about all this stuff, and it's like now it's like the same thing. It's like, to them, they're just going, okay, well, they took this whole thing of exactly what they say. They're like, well, I don't want to be part of the Democratic Party now, and I want to make sure that I'm aware, and I do my own and I do my own research now, and I'm not about the deep state and everything. Okay, so that's woke. And then you ask him, it's like, no, it's all this trying to turn kids gay. That's not what it is. It's like they got this term and they wanted to use it. You know what I mean? And to me, it's like it's such a good like tactic. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have any policies or any real things to change and better America, then just, fearmonger. Mm-hmm. And that to me, and that is just a perfect example of that. People don't even know what they're talking about. So look, if you want to vote and you really want to make sure that you're making an educated vote, being educated, getting everything, and voting for what's best for you and your family, if that's what you're trying to do, then do the damn research. Mm-hmm. If you don't care about that, fine, because here's another thing. You still have a right in this country to be an idiot. Because because back then, in order to vote, you had to own land before. You had to be a business owner. Not everybody could just vote. Now everybody can vote. And that's the beauty thing about America. You don't have to know shit. You can still go and vote. And you know what? That is your right. If you don't care and you just want to vote based on what you're getting on Facebook, and because a guy looks like a real man because he's grabbing girls by the pussy and talking shit to everybody and going against, and oh, he's so cool because he was arrested. If that's why you're voting for him, fine. You know what I mean? But don't complain in a couple years when you're over going, well, nothing's being done for me and back, you know what I mean? It's going to hit you in the face.
Well, and I just find it so ironic that the founding fathers, right? And the Republican Party, it is based on tradition, right? Upholding the values, the principles, the morality. That's what it's based on. Every single iota and ounce of person that Donald Trump is a complete, undeniable, complete opposite of what that stands for. So that's not even Republican.
Yeah.
So you're voting for something that is so far from what the party stands for. I don't even know what you call it. But that is how much this is changing, because that is what he's representing, right? He's going to be, according to the polls, the nominee for the Republican Party. And so if you're a true Republican, this is what you're saying you believe in.
And again, here's the thing. If you don't care, if you're like, look, man, I don't care if a dictator runs America. I don't care if he starts going after people. If you don't care, that's fine. Okay. If you're like, look, I don't care. I just want Donald Trump because I like him for all the crazy shit that he says, and he stirs some shit up. And you like drama. Trust me, I get it. United States and the world, they love reality shows. The crazier the bitches on a reality show gets a spinoff, gets the most attention, gets the most money. I get it. And this is why Donald Trump is so big, because he was a reality show star. No, he's not a businessman. He failed. He was bankrupt. He inherited his money. The only reason why he had money was because he played a businessman on reality show TV. So I get it. The crazier person, the biggest influencer gets all the attention, and is going to influence people, and people are going to just gravitate towards that. Okay. But what gets me is that, just say that then. I don't care about policies and everything. I just like the dude because he's machismo. He's he doesn't give a fuck and everything. And just like me, I don't like to play by the rules, and I don't like the cops either. You know what I mean? If that's who you are, if you're gangster, I mean, Donald Trump is gangster. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you're like that, cool. I get it. So then say that.
Right.
But don't go out there and put on social media, he's done a lot for America. He's done this, he's done that, when you don't even know or have the facts.
Right. And you can't name, we're not even saying 5 things. You can't even name 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, a policy. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just, it's getting bad. And you know what? I know a lot of you guys just all you hear is politics every day and everything. And, you feel like you can't escape it. But it's just one of those things where it's getting bad. It's getting really bad. And it's
gotten bad.
Yeah. It's, and I just want people to understand how important it is to get the right information, because the decision that you make can affect America and the world for a long time. This isn't let's get them out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's gonna be a lot of effects. Just like with the coronavirus, when a administration doesn't know what they're doing, people die. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's this is going to be very interesting, this next election, and it's going to get really bad leading up to this election.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, and I get it. You scroll through this episode and you might be like, "Damn, again, more politics." But I will say, it's better to know and understand and hear and process this information now. Mm-hmm. Well in advance, so you can do the work and you can do the research and you can keep up with things, because it does matter. And it matters, and I know we're talking about I personally have been so, I'm a person who majored in political science when I was in college. And I've gotten so frustrated by everything that's happened. I've had to go to my friends that I went to college with who went into politics, who to this day serve. They work for governors, they run campaigns, they do things because I needed hope personally. I was just there like, am I in like, where am I right now? In the twilight zone? And the good news is that they do real work every day. And they talk to me about how, local politics is where it's at. So if anything, it's like, if all this stuff on the main stage is just overwhelming, because my fear, and I've done an episode on this previously, is apathy, which people are just so freaking like, I can't even deal with this, that they're like, screw all of it. I'm just not going to do anything and vote. Is like, pay attention to what's happening locally. Vote for those people in your when it's time to vote for the governor and the senators and those kind of people and the people who do local politics, at least focus there. I understand how overwhelming it is, but you can either be overwhelmed or you can figure out how to contribute and understand. And you're setting the example, because I know many people who listen have kids. Mm-hmm. And that's what I worry about. Yeah. I worry about that generation. It's next.
For me, thank God that we have checks and balances. There's Congress, there's the legislation, and there's the executive branch. I know that if Donald Trump comes in and he tries to go after all these people and everything, there's a lot of judges, there's a lot of things that he's going to be limited to. Okay? I know it's going to be hard for him to really, really try to fuck things up. But one of the things about the president, about that seat, is the things you say have repercussions. And the things that Donald Trump said back when he was president caused a man, okay, I'm going to tell you what he said. His whole thing was that there was an invasion. He said there was an invasion on the border. So what did the man do? He took it upon himself to go to El Paso, Texas, where I'm from, and shoot innocent Mexican people who are citizens and non-citizens, women, children, families at a restaurant. Over 24 people. So to me, it's like, I don't care about whether I have to pay a little bit more taxes, whatever that. It's his rhetoric has killed people in my hometown. And this is why I'm passionate and really upset, because this and it wasn't just El Paso. There's a lot of things that he's affected. When he has sparked evil in this country to come up. He has made it okay for people to act on their frustrations. So now it's not even talking to me nice anymore. It's if you don't like somebody, you can go do something to them. You know what I mean? I mean, and I mean, if I get into the January 6th, we'll be here another 2 hours.
Yeah.
But like this, you show video evidence to somebody. No, that's fake news. I mean, it's getting bad. And you know what? I mean, to me, it's like there's lives at stake here. Mm-hmm. A person who is a leader of a country can make decisions that can affect in a deadly way. Mm-hmm. And usually that's only in third world countries, and that's happening here. So this is why I'm very upset and passionate about it. And this is why, and I try to you know what, it's okay. You know what I mean? People are going to vote the way they are, and, we got checks and balances and it'll be okay and everything. But I mean, no, man, I'm sick and tired of seeing, these people who are just flat out just saying, and now they're even saying facts don't matter. Man, if facts don't matter, we are in even worse
what
shape.
The fuck are
And,
we even
and
doing?
here's the thing. It's I think, you know, as a country we'll be okay. Hopefully. Because it's just like people are like, oh, like right now, people are Trump supporters like, oh, this country just going to shit. Dude, you know, I mean, you know what happened in the 60s? Do you know what happened in the 40s? There's always been crazy stuff going on, but it's how those leaders have handled it. How did Roosevelt handle World War II? You know? How did Lyndon B. Johnson handle Vietnam? You know? How did George Bush handle 9/11 and post-war and post-attack, go into Iraq and Afghanistan? It's how they handle it. And you know, there's always going to be crazy stuff going on. But I mean, you always want to make sure that we're always going in the right direction. So, and it's getting bad.
It is. So,
and I'm ready to do my part.
Right. And so, you know, this
helping people become educated and making an informed and educated decision. Because here's the thing. A lot of people are going to vote against themselves. And that's what sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
Our intention is about education, awareness, and action.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is our ask. And I promise, because Aaron and I talk about this all the time, we're going to have other topics that are not as, you know, heated and crazy. And we're going to talk about all kinds of other things, but it matters, because the other thing that we want to make sure that we do is have relevancy by paying attention to what's going on in the world and giving it to you as it's happening. And there's going to be some crazy stuff. There's going to be some exciting stuff, or a little bit more uplifting, but this is what's happening right now. And that's why we decided to cover this with you today. So on that note,
we got some more coming up. We're in December. The year's almost done. Holidays are coming up.
That's exciting.
Please be safe out there, and you know, check on people.
Travel safely.
Just like we said the last episode, mental health. You know what I mean? We always make sure check on people. You know, make sure they're doing all right, and don't break the bank this year, man.
It's tough.
Try to pay debt off,
man.
Yeah.
Make that, you know, that
make good financial decisions when buying presents this year.
Yeah, for sure. And use this as a time to, you know, I'll maybe land on a little bit of a higher note, which is, you know, reflect. Take some time to reflect on the things that have, you know, we focus so much on all the shit that's going wrong. Take some time to appreciate the things that are going well.
Make good financial decisions, except for you, Dez. I want you to be careless when you're going to buy my gift. Don't make any. You be reckless and careless when you're choosing my gift. Okay.
Right.
But no, all of you guys out there make good financial decisions.
Make good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first episode that we went over 2 hours. I apologize for that. And but I hope it's good content. You guys follow us.
Might be in traffic. We just got them through their whole commute.
For those of you that are new, Coach Dez, make sure you follow her. Slide into her DMs, and get really creepy. She likes that. Feel free to get creepy in mind.
He's better at handling that.
Yeah.
You could go ahead and go over his direction.
Yeah, we are the Born Unbreakable podcast show. Another one. Can't wait to give you guys more. We have a lot coming. Again, we're working hard this year, updating the website. Dez got a book coming out next year. We're going to be giving a lot of content, a lot of just stuff, man, to help you.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, we have to close out because I have to sneeze really bad.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you. Peace.